Going through Advent and Christmas 2020 in quarantine was not something anybody could have anticipated. COVID-19 has robbed us of innumerable moments and memories, and it feels like Advent and Christmas 2020 are just two more being added to the list. So how can you do Advent online this year? And what does a socially distant Christmas possibly look like for a church? Today we'll be diving into online Advent and Christmas ideas for churches in 2020. My name is Sammy and I'm here at Digivangelism, and I'm here with you this Tuesday morning and really every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with another video, blog post, and podcast episode sharing with you the latest tips and trends in digital ministry so that you don't miss out on the biggest opportunity to share the love of Jesus yet. If that sounds of interest to you, don't forget to subscribe either below for the video or for the podcast if you're listening so that you don't miss a single video, podcast, or blog post of digital ministry goodness. Let's get started. The first step for successful online Advent or Christmas service in 2020 is just deciding. You've been doing this all along in quarantine. You have to decide what is going to be the best and the safest decision that fits for your community. Hopefully you already know that this year's Advent and Christmas services probably aren't going to look like they have ever looked like before. I hope you can get to a place where you are okay with that. Remind yourself, this is okay, because it is okay. We are in a global pandemic. It's okay if you do things differently. And before we get to some of our favorite ideas for this Advent and Christmas 2020, we want to share with you a couple ideas that we've heard other churches doing so that you just have a broad perspective of the options that are out there for you. Some churches are worshiping in person, whether that's inside or outside. Other churches are still live streaming, Zoom streaming. Some churches are doing pre-recorded worship and hybrid offerings, trying to hit those online folks but still maintain an in-person opportunity for those that want to attend. We've heard some churches are even planning outdoor caroling services, either at a distance or with masks on or both. Hopefully one of those. Some churches are doing drive-through experiences, whether those are drive-through communion services or drive-through nativities. It's all possible. Finally, we've heard a lot of churches are renting space that's not their own space because they need more space to have the amount of people that they hope to gather indoors safely. So whether that's a local auditorium or even a local stadium, weather pending, that is an option for you too. Now obviously your church's ability to pull off any or all of these options is going to depend on your budget, your skills, and your facility, and the people that you have, whether they're willing to do that, whether they want to do that, whether they're passionate about it. So these are not one size fits all, but regardless of if you try any of them or all of them, please don't actually try all of them. Regardless of whether or not you try any of these options, there's something very important you and your church need to consider before finalizing your Advent and Christmas 2020 plan. This is your opportunity to try something new. Whether you are thinking about Advent services or Christmas services, the church season that you are entering into is temporary. This is a prime opportunity for you to try a new style of worship or a new way of engaging your people online, or maybe a new way of using technology, and you're only committing to a couple weeks or even an isolated experience. There's no long-term need or expectation for you to continue whatever you try in these seasons. Take advantage of this, church. You can just commit to something for 4 weeks in Advent. You can commit to once and done kind of Christmas service or Epiphany or Blue Christmas or whatever you're planning. You can decide to try something new once with no strings attached. And the truth is, none of us really know how long we're going to be in quarantine or in and out of quarantine, and so this could be your prime opportunity to try something once and potentially have it affect your digital ministry strategy for months ahead. Okay, now that we have established how crucial it is for you to be open to trying something new this Advent or Christmas season 2020, it's time to dive into some concrete possibilities for you and your church. Our first option is one that everyone watching this video can and probably should try to do, and that is to give your Advent and Christmas service times a home. Now, what do we mean by give them a home? Well, specifically online. So when you make a post or we put up a story, it's kind of temporary, right? If you put up a story, it's certainly temporary on Instagram or Facebook, or it disappears in 24 hours. But if you put up a post, it probably is going to get lost in people's feeds after a while, right? Now, people could go and dig through your feed and try to figure out the posts, where it is, and what the service times were, but there's an easier way to do this. We can give these times a permanent home on our various social media profiles and website. For example, this could mean making a specific image for your Facebook cover photo that has your Advent and Christmas times on it, so that when someone goes to your Facebook page, the first thing that they see large on the top of your Facebook page profile is your Christmas and Advent worship times. For example, this could mean making a specific image for your Facebook cover photo. For example, this could mean making a specific image for your Facebook profile, your church's Facebook profile. So a cover photo that goes on the top, you can make it for free in Canva. They have templates the perfect size, and you just stick it in there. It has your Advent and your Christmas worship time, so that anytime someone goes to your church's Facebook profile, they're going to see that right there up at the top, right in their face, not have any questions about when they can go and worship with you. Another way to give this information a home on a platform like Instagram would be to make a story that has this information in it. So either you're taking a selfie video with your phone, or perhaps you have some text on a screen, whatever, the information is getting there somehow, and then highlight it. So there's actually a little button you can click to highlight a specific image on your story, and that will put it at the top of your Instagram profile for longer than 24 hours. So it doesn't disappear like all the other stories do. It's right there. Label it with something like Advent 2020 or Christmas 2020. You could have one for each. Then people can go to your profile. They have wonderings about whether or not they want to go to your worship services, or how to find your worship services, or what time they are. Just click on the highlight and they'll have all of the information that you put up there stored. This could and should also mean putting this information on your church's website right there on the homepage, so people don't have to search far for the information for your Advent and Christmas worship services. And they will be searching. 2020 has been a year like no other. Depression and anxiety typically increase in December around holiday season, and this year with COVID-19, they are skyrocketing. People will be seeking out an opportunity to center on God, on something bigger. They'll be looking for hope. Don't make them dig for it. With that on the mind, here's another opportunity for you to try out in 2020, and that's Blue Christmas. Not only are people going to be especially uneasy because it's Christmas time and COVID-19 global pandemic, but also how many Christmas traditions are going to be affected this season? How many people that would be traveling home to be with family and loved ones are not going to be able to because they don't feel safe, or they don't want to even risk infecting those around them? If you have never offered a Blue Christmas worship service before, this may be the year to try it. Blue Christmas is often held on the longest night of the year because it recognizes the long nights, the dark nights of our soul that can happen even in this holiday season. Not everything is merry and bright for everybody going through December. Not everybody that should be together can be together or will be. These are very important truths to recognize even as we rest in the hope we have in Jesus. In fact, this acknowledgement from someone at church just saying, not everything is great right now, and we just need to take a moment to center on our hope and center on the fact that it's okay not to feel okay. This might be exactly what some of your people need to make it through the difficult season ahead. Alright, next idea. We're calling this one the Lowkey live stream. Now, if you have an Instagram page, if your church has a Facebook page, if you have a YouTube channel, you can do this too. A Lowkey live stream is exactly what it sounds like. It's a live stream video with very little action to it. Consider what it might look like for your church to have a live stream video going on one of your pages or channels of just a candle flickering in the sanctuary. No words, nothing else, and just people can tune into it however long they want, whenever they want. It's up there for an hour and then it stays up there later. But it's live. It's happening right then and there. The sanctuary that they maybe haven't been at in a while, or don't get to see as often as they like or as freely as they'd like. There it is for them to view in a live stream. Weather dependent, this could also be accomplished with snow falling in the parking lot. Maybe a campfire at your church, or a sunrise or sunset. A small gathering of people or your church leadership together, praying socially distant in the sanctuary without any words. Just in and out. They get to pray with them and see who's there and be a part of something live. But online. This opportunity does not require a lot of planning for the execution of it. It really can be low-key. And yet you have no idea who might tune in just desperate for a little piece of connection. Even without words, these videos can be powerful, they can be meditative, and they can help form a bridge between viewers who might feel a little bit disconnected from their church community right now and the wider church community. Next idea, an online choir. You've probably seen videos of online choirs floating around Facebook or online in some way over the past few months, and those churches or maybe those organizations have pulled together lots of videos from different people singing that they compiled together, and it looks amazing and beautiful, but also seems really overwhelming to do, and it probably would be really overwhelming to try to do every single week. But what about once? Is it possible that you have someone in your congregation that could do the pulling together of video and audio and make it look really cool for an online choir just once for one song or one service even, with no expectation to continue to do so weekly afterwards? And if not, but if someone in your congregation knows someone who could do that, could it be worth hiring someone out to just do this project for one song or one service for this Advent or Christmas season? Is it worth investing in even an online editor to pull it together so your congregation can visually see an online choir from your church singing praise online together? At this point, you still have the time to pull this together. Most professional editors don't need that long, and even someone in your congregation doing this would have many weeks to pull it all together. Yes, this would certainly take some extra effort this season, but from the videos we've seen floating around online, it could be very well worth it for your church to go forward in, especially during this Advent and Christmas season. Another idea for you to consider this Advent and Christmas is an in-person sing. Now, we get it. Singing is really dangerous in COVID, and yet a lot of churches are able to figure out how to do this at a distance, with masks, outside, safely, and yet you're lifting up praise together with your church family. If you believe you and your church can do this safely, and only if you believe your church can do this safely, consider doing this in person, because even just seeing some of the people you love and miss dearly in person at a distance safely, that could be the best Christmas gift for some of the people in your midst, and maybe even your church as a whole. Speaking of singing, if you just don't feel like you can get people together in person in a safe way, you can't do it in good conscience, no worries. But what about phone call caroling? Even with just a few households that are willing to call some folks up and sing Christmas carols to them on the phone, you could reach a wide range of your congregation, whether that's just your isolated members who you really think could use that, or everybody just gets a song or two. Consider sharing that love and Christmas joy as far and wide as you possibly can. Last but not least, we encourage you to be church online this Advent and Christmas 2020. Advent is a season of waiting, hoping, and praying, and there's so much to say about each of these things in 2020. And people are in need of this message of hope and light more than ever before. So share them, and share them online. The best way to do this, besides just making your weekly sermon available online, is to just be active with your people online, especially this Advent and Christmas 2020. Now, we know how busy church leaders can be in this season. You don't have time for extra things. You don't even have time to do the things that you're doing right now. The idea of engaging more online, or even just doing anything online, can just seem overwhelming. And that's why it's so especially exciting for us to announce that we've created an Advent and Christmas social media image pack for you to use to spark conversation in your church, to build connections online, and to offer hope to your Facebook and Instagram followers. Each pack comes with over 50 images for your Facebook page and over 50 images for your Instagram page for your church to use freely with members, guests, and online lurkers in 2020. What's even better is that this pack is tied to the Revised Common Lectionary, so if you are preaching through the Revised Common Lectionary this Advent and Christmas season, you will see very familiar passages modeled in our images. This means you don't have to spend time tweaking images that you find online and wondering if they're copyright free. You don't have to even think about what you need to post. It's all right there for you. You will be well stocked for this Christmas and Advent season, so we encourage you to download the Advent and Christmas social media image pack today. Now, we recognize that it's highly unlikely that you will be able to implement all of the options that we shared with you today, but we encourage you to adopt many as make sense for you and your community. That's it for today, friends. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss a single video of us helping you share the love of Jesus online. Today, we brought the knowledge, and now it's your turn to put it into action. Peace.